How's everybody doing? Good. Like you said, my name's Adam Whiting. I'm here with my beautiful wife, Megan, and we came from Iowa where it's very cold, so we're happy to be here in Maui. You guys like the weather here? Yeah, it's amazing. So I guess we're going to be talking about sales funnels today. How many of you guys have ever tried to build a sales funnel yourself? Like most of the crowd. So I'm not speaking to a crowd that doesn't know anything about sales funnels, which is awesome, so I can go a little deep into it. And then like John said at the end, I'm going to give you guys a really cool surprise, some things that we've been working on for you, so I'm pretty excited. So do you guys have this action guide out? I want to make sure you guys can take some notes because I'm going to be kind of flying through some different things just so we can get to the end and I can give you the surprise. But I want to make sure you guys are taking notes because I'm actually going to talk a lot about how to build sales funnels specifically for the digital altitude business is to sell those products. So I'm going to give you some different ideas on what you can inject into your marketing, what you can inject into the sales funnel that's already there so that you can actually make more sales even with what they already have. So just make sure that you have your notes out. And then the actual action guide that I made, I'm not going to go through it too much today, but it's something that you can use over and over again whenever you build a sales funnel. So you'll probably want to use it, after this when you actually dive into it. These are a lot of the questions that you'll ask yourself before you build it, because the before you build it is actually the most important part of building a sales funnel. It's not building it, because if you do it wrong, then it can cost you a lot of time, it can cost you a lot of money because you'll waste money on advertising if you don't do it right. So that's why kind of going through these exercises that are inside this action guide is really, really important. So first I want to tell you guys a story because as I talk about funnels that didn't work, the first sales funnel that I ever built was like the biggest disaster of my life. So, and that's probably happens to most people, I would think, but for me, it wasted pretty much a year of my life. I joined a business similar to this one. It was selling a travel membership though, rather than education products. And it was about 5 years ago. I've been doing this for about 5 years now. And that first sales funnel, I actually saw that, like, I actually had really good mentors when I first got started. They pushed me in this direction of building sales funnels, which I think is probably the most valuable skill that you can have in an industry like this, doing internet marketing, is the ability to, put a message in front of somebody and just sell them right there on the spot, or get them to take some kind of action right there on the spot. So luckily my mentors pushed me in that direction, but they didn't tell me everything that I needed to do. They just said, hey, you need to go build sales funnels. Go find somebody that has a good one and copy them. So that's kind of what I did. And what I didn't realize, I found this guy, the guy that I actually carbon copied his sales funnel, I found him on Google. And I didn't realize that you had to speak to a specific type of person that was kind of like what Dion was talking about before. You have to speak to a person that's kind of like you, or somebody that's the person that you want to attract. I didn't realize that, so I just made a video that was talking about the company and why they should join my team and all these different things, and I didn't realize that I should be selling the benefits of the product. So I just copied this guy's whole sales funnel. I took literally 6 months. I learned how to do design in Photoshop. I learned how to do coding in Dreamweaver. I learned how to make videos. I did these videos like 100 times. How many of you guys have ever done a video and it took like 100 tries to do the video? So that's what my videos were like the first time I did it. I would sit there in the chair and do it like over and over and over and over again until it was perfect. And then this sales funnel that I built, it was, in my eyes, I'm like, wow, this thing is amazing, right? And it takes me 6 months to build. And then I put it out there and I'm trying to sell to people that aren't the people that I want to attract. And I spent the next 6 months just hammering this page with people that didn't understand what I was trying to sell them, because I didn't craft the person first that I wanted to attract and say, hey, this is the guy that I'm trying to talk to. I didn't speak to that person. I spoke to like this person way over here that already knew about the company, that already wanted the travel membership, that already wanted to build a business, instead of the person that I was actually sending the traffic to, right? So the message, it didn't connect. And I spent 6 months doing basically sending a message to the wrong person. And it was after that failure that I figured out, and I actually started studying it a lot more. I started reading books on sales funnels and all these different things, and I realized, okay, I need to figure out the person first that I want to talk to, and then I need to craft my message and actually speak to that person. And that's when I actually had success. So right after that, I made literally no money in that company for a year, and that was when I had my daughter. I was staying at home trying to work the business. I was doing painting on the side. My daughter had just been born, so it was like, oh my gosh, you have to make this work. And so it was like a year worth of struggle. And then after I realized that and I studied, I went to the next company and we just crushed it. And it was because that message was perfect for the person. I was targeting the perfect person and speaking directly to them, and then they just bought. It was like totally effortless. So that's the power of a sales funnel, is if you craft it the right way and you speak to the right person, it'll just take off. And since then we've had, I think he mentioned we have had companies where we did 8 figures in sales, and they were built completely on a sales funnel. Like literally the company didn't even have, or we didn't even have a homepage for our website. Like we didn't have a homepage, we didn't have anything but a sales funnel and a back office with products in it. Video, so that's a sales funnel playing right now. No, but, okay, cool, we're good. So what I was saying is, those companies that we built and we eventually sold for 7 figures to other people, they were built 100% on sales funnels. The only reason that they were successful is because we found a good product, we crafted a message that was perfect for the audience we were targeting, and then we just let the sales funnel do all the work. We sent people there, they converted automatically, just like the Digital Altitude sales funnels do now. They take them through that sales process and sell them up, upsell them different products and things like that. And that's what allowed us to be able to create huge companies. So without that, we would have never been able to sell those products. We would have never been able to make 8 figures in sales if we didn't create sales funnels that actually target the right people. So let me get the slides going here. There we go. Okay, so what I'm going to take you guys through in the slides is the secrets to creating a 7-figure sales funnel. So what I consider a 7-figure sales funnel, the reason why I call it that, is because you can build a sales funnel that just generates sales, but the key to hitting 7 figures with a sales funnel is predictable revenue. It's being able to put $1 in, make $2 out, right? Who would want to be able to put $1 into advertising and make $2, right? That's basically the key to being successful in internet marketing. They got the video playing again. So if you can do that, you can literally scale to 7 figures, because all you have to be able to do is, if you know how much money you're going to get when you spend $1 in advertising and it's more than $1, then you just have to spend more money, right? That's the whole goal of the entire thing. So let's go into, okay, cool. So website versus a sales funnel. How many of you guys know the difference between a website versus a sales funnel, right? Website basically is just sharing information. That's it. That's what I consider a website. It's a page that has some information about a company on it. It doesn't necessarily sell anything. It might, contribute to making sales in some way, but it doesn't actually do the selling, right? It doesn't sell the first product, upsell another product, and end up making you money. The sales funnel is what actually makes you money. So it's what generates the lead, generates the sales, upsells, and then high ticket. So that's exactly what Digital Altitude has right now. You guys see it every day, is you generate a lead, then it turns into a sale. A certain percentage of those people turn into a sale. A certain percentage turn into an upsell to some of the higher packages, and then they sell high ticket stuff to them over the phone. So the key to making sales is having the sales funnel, right? So what is a 7-figure sales funnel? I've already kind of answered this, so we're just going to skip right past it. Okay, cool. So I touched on this briefly earlier, but I want to go deep into it, is how do you actually find the dream customer that you're looking for? So that's what you have to find out before you do anything, is figure out who that customer is. They might be like you, they might not be. They might be, somebody who's younger and really hungry and they want to get started in a business, or they might be a baby boomer who's a little bit older and they want to, create supplemental income for retirement. But before you can ever get started making money or even creating any kind of sales material, you have to know who that person is. And you have to go deep into who that person is, and figure out what they want, what they need, what their hobbies are. Like literally you can create everything about them. When I do this exercise, I actually write down their name, I write down how old they are, I write down what their hobbies are, I write down every single thing about this person, so that when I create the video, it makes it easier to talk to them, right? You can almost craft it like you're having a conversation, like that person's sitting right in front of you and you're speaking to them and you're trying to sell that person based on what they want. And it's good to dial it in as detailed as you possibly can. If you want to target baby boomers, you should be speaking directly to them and repel everybody else. Because if that's who you want in your world, if that's who you want to talk to on a daily basis, if that's who you want to help, then stick to that, because there's enough people out there in that demographic, whatever the demographic is, there's a lot of people that are in it. So you can target those people specifically. And the good thing about marketing now is, like on Facebook, you can pinpoint a very specific person just by targeting somebody's fan page. You can target baby boomers by going to the AARP fan page and looking at those people or whatever. You can target whoever you want to. If you want to do Instagram, you target a younger generation normally on Instagram. So you can do all different things by knowing who that person is. And then you can look for where you're going to find them. So as soon as you know who they are, that's how you can target them on Facebook. That's how you can target them on Instagram. And find those specific people. And these are the exercises that are actually in the action guide. So after this is something that you can actually do on your own time, is make notes on what these are and get super detailed on who your dream customer is, where you're going to find them. And when I say where you're going to find them, it could be anywhere. It could be different blogs that they're on. You could go out and you could find solo ads. You could do it on Facebook. You could do it on YouTube. All those different places you can target people based on the keywords they search for, based on the things that they like, all that stuff, and you can find those specific people. So if you think you have to create a general sales message, you're completely wrong. You can create 10 different videos targeting 10 different people. And that's actually what we're doing right now for Digital Altitude. We've been creating sales material. And the sales material, every single sales video targets a different type of person. It's, some of them are mothers, some of them are people who are retired. I mean, there's all different demographics that we're targeting with different types of videos, and they all have a different message that speaks to that person. So that way, if you want to market to a certain type of person, you can market directly to them. And then, after you figure out who that person is, where they are, what are you going to use to attract them, right? What are they interested in? Some people are not interested in making $1 million tomorrow, right, in a business like this. They'd rather make $1,000 a month. That's all they need. So if you know who that person is and you're looking, like, for example, a baby boomer that wants to just make extra money to supplement their income, they don't need $1 million tomorrow. They need $1,000 a month for the rest of their life. So that message is a totally different thing when you speak to that person. So you create the thing that you're going to use to attract them, which is the headline on your page, the video on your page, the giveaway that you do on your capture page. You make it so it's specifically tailored to them, so that when they come to the page and they see it, they say, yeah, that's what I'm looking for. How did he know exactly what I was looking for? And you make the ads and the pages everything congruent, just like Michael and those guys just talked about. Congruency is everything when you're talking about the dream customer, because when they see the ad needs to say exactly what they want. They're going to say, yes, I want that. Then they're going to go to the page. It says exactly what they want. They're going to go to the next step, the next step, the next step, all the way through the funnel if it's actually custom made to them. So that's the key to the entire thing, is keeping that message consistent and not straying, because the trust is made as you go through the process and you keep everything consistent and you talk to that person the whole time. So the last piece, and this is obviously the most important, is what results do you want to get that person? Okay, if there's somebody that wants to make more money, somebody that wants to lose weight, somebody that wants to get rid of their eye wrinkle bags, or whatever it is, you have to know exactly what that result is and sell the result. Don't sell the product. This was the biggest mistake that I made with my first company that I wasted that year on, is I sold, instead of selling the dream of vacationing and the dream of making more money and all those things, I sold the bullets of the features of the business, the bullets and the features of the product and all these things it could do, but I didn't build any kind of dream for that person of what their life could look like if they did it and the result they were going to get. So if you get anything from this, always sell the result. Don't sell the features or the benefit. You sell the benefits, not the features, when you're crafting the different message. So the headline is always based on what result you're going to get them. Like if it's lose weight, in this free video, I'm going to teach you how to lose 10 pounds in the next 7 days. That's the result that they want. You're not selling, get this great fat loss product or something. It's selling exactly what results they want to get. So this is just referring to the action guide. So once you answer those questions, you can create the products for your dream customer and then just talk directly to those people. All right, so once you know all of that information, right? Once you know who the dream customer is, where they're at, how you're going to benefit them, what they actually want, what result they're trying to get, that's when you can actually build what your products are going to be. And for this example, I call it a value ladder. This actually came from Russell Brunson, so I just love this example of creating the value ladder. So it's whatever that first product is, right? That's at the bottom of the value ladder. So you usually have something cheap, like for example in Digital Altitude, it's $1 trial to come check out the business and get some training and talk to a coach, right? That's the lowest level of value that you give. And then as they go through the videos, they stair-step them up the value ladder and they sell them other products. You can do this with anything. Like the weight loss example, You sell them that first video that's free, that's how to lose 10 pounds in 7 days or whatever it is, and then you take them to the next level of product, which might be a recipe guide that helps you do that, right? Then you take them to the next level of value that might be consulting or one-on-one, it basically helping them manage their weight or accountability or something like that. You can just take them up that value ladder and keep adding different levels of value for them, and that's how you raise your prices and you end up maximizing the amount of money that you make per customer. So once you've established what the value ladder is, right, what your different products are, you just lay that out. You might have 3 or 4 different products at the beginning, and then you actually turn them into a sales funnel. So that's what, it goes from going up the ladder to now structured like a funnel, like you saw in the last one. So it would be, it can go, for example, like in the last example, lead to sale to upsell, and then high ticket. So the way that I usually like to do this type of a process is you do the lead, the sale, and the upsell at the same time, right? Somebody goes through that process, they become a lead, they watch a sales message, they purchase something, and then they see a couple upsells so that you maximize the amount of money that you make right away. It might be 2 or 3 different products. And then at that point you stop, right? You let them consume some of the stuff that they purchase, you let them get to know you through emails, things like that, and then you change the scenery, right? You change the methodology you're using to sell them. So instead of just selling them on the videos and taking them through the process, just like Digital Altitude does, you take them to the phone, right? You get them on the phone with a coach, you get them on the phone with somebody, you get them on a webinar. Anything that's a change from what they've already done will help actually make the sale, right? You almost take them to that next level of communication rather than just being, watching a video, they're now listening to somebody live. Because if you're trying to make a $500, $1,000, a $10,000 sale, you're not going to do it very often in just an automated video that they see in the first 5 minutes of meeting you or in the first 5 minutes of seeing your sales funnel. It just doesn't happen that way. But if you give them a little bit of time, you give them a week, just like they do in Digital Altitude. They give them about a week, they go through some videos, they get them on the phone. Now they're able to take that relationship to the next level and upsell them the next level of information, which is what gets people to an event like this, right? And then this event is that next level of information where you learn the stuff like you're learning right now, and you can actually take your mindset to the next level, and you're just understanding of how to do this business to the next level. As you're creating these sales funnels, and this is actually pretty much the secret to doing anything quickly when it comes to creating a sales funnel, is modeling successful competitors that are already doing it, right? So you go out and you look at different people that are already doing it. So for example, if you're new to Digital Altitude and you're actually promoting their products, you're gonna go out and you're gonna find the most successful people in there and you're gonna model what they're doing. You get on their email list. You try and find what they're doing for marketing. You don't just copy it, but you look at it and say, okay, how can I make this my own and how can I market the same way that they are because they're already successful, so you can take a huge shortcut, right? So every single time I build a sales funnel, it's almost always based on something that someone has already done. That's how I've had the most success. Except for the very first one I built. I based it on somebody that was doing something totally different than what I was, and I didn't target to the right person. So I figured out quickly that didn't work for me. But if you know that person's being successful and you can market where they're marketing and you can target those same people, then this is the fastest way to have success, is to just look at the different parts of their sales funnel that they have, right? The most important parts are what's on here: the page layouts, the product type, and the price points. Because chances are, if they're really successful, they've tested those 3 things. They've tested, okay, the video works better if it's here, and the text works better here, and this is how you're supposed to bundle the different products up. Here's the different price points, and that's what's gonna actually make you the most money. So if you focus on those things and model those things, you'll at least have a big shortcut to getting to a successful sales funnel really quickly. And then once you have that figured out, you just need to figure out the fastest way to test your sales funnel. You don't do what I did, right? You don't spend a year figuring out how to build it, put all this time into it and then find out a year later that it doesn't work, right? You figure it out in literally as fast as you possibly can. I mean, if you can do it in a week, you can do it in 2 weeks. Throw up a video, throw up your message and see if it works and start spending money on advertising. Spend money on advertising as fast as possible. Not a ridiculous amount of money, $50. Go to Facebook, put your message in front of somebody and see if somebody opts in. See if they watch the video. See if they buy the product. And if they do, then you know that you have a winner and you can take it to the next level and you can do more work on it. But if you spend all that time doing it, it doesn't work, it's just a huge waste of your life. So I wouldn't do that. Learn from my mistake, basically.